Hi guys, my name is Kayla Smith Holland and I'm a registered dietitian with Fresenius Kidney Care, and we are asking you to meet us at the table. Today I'll be cooking with Mr. Sam Trevino, a patient's experience manager with Fresenius, and Dr. Jameson, a Washington, D.C. area nephrologist. Dr. Jameson, what are you making for us today?
I'm making a grain-free pizza for those people who may have a little gluten intolerance. This pizza is made with cassava flour, little arrowroot to balance it off, and simple ingredients, 2 eggs, and I'll tell you more about it in a minute. But first, I want us to get my marinara sauce started so that it can reduce, and because we're going to have to put this on the pizza.
By all means, take it away.
All righty. So for my marinara, I like to make it from scratch. Canned tomato, this one is it's just crushed tomato puree. You can use even whole tomatoes or chopped tomatoes or whatever. But this one is going to reduce a little faster. So I'm putting this in my cooker. It's a 28-ounce can. I'm going to add half a stick of butter and a 1/4 cup of olive oil.
Dr. Jameson, that smells amazing.
Already?
Yes.
This is a little Parmesan, and the recipe calls for about 1/4 cup, and this is a little bit less than that because, you know, it adds salt. So I'm being very mindful of the fact that we're dealing with patients who don't want to have a lot of salt. And even though the recipe calls for a teaspoon of kosher salt, this is half a teaspoon.
And to Dr. Jameson's point, cutting the recipe to fit your needs is always perfectly fine. You have dietitians at all the clinics. They can always give you a tip or a trick on how to make something a little bit better for your personal diet.
Yep.
So my sauce requires onions, and I'm putting, you can do a medium onion. I cut it in 4 pieces, so I can, 2 pieces rather, so it can be easily fished out at the end. And this is 2 cloves of garlic that are been finely chopped. And I use, most of the times I use a garlic crusher that just squirts them together and makes it really fine. So all the ingredients are in here. The kosher salt, the olive oil, this butter, the crushed unsalted tomatoes, but mine is tomato puree, the onion and the garlic. Okay, so let's reduce this. This is gonna take maybe half an hour to 40 minutes to just become really luscious. Your onions are going to look translucent when it's done, and it'll have, because it has a Parmesan sauce, it will have a milky kind of texture, so you'll know it's finished then. You know, the pesto is going to add a little bit of relief to the tomatoes on the pizza, so you don't have as much potassium to worry about. Because I'm making enough sauce here, but I'm gonna end up using maybe a 1/4 cup on the pizza. And the pesto adds flavor, color, and benefits, because what is pesto? Lots of
Pine nuts.
basil and
Olives?
olive oil, yes. So what I'm going to do with my pesto to cut down on how much basil and to give it a little bit more added vegetable benefit is to put some spinach in it.
Oh, awesome.
All right, so let's get going with the pesto, and then we're going to make the crust.
Yeah, I love this. I feel like this pesto is going to be full of fiber.
Yep, and you know, and that the different types of sauces that we can always, you know, you can always explore different types of sauces. People like garlic parmesan or like a creamy mushroom sauce. You know, do you guys have any idea which one might be a good idea outside of tomato sauce?
I think one of the things is what you like to eat. So the big key and the big takeaway today is everything in moderation.
Yeah.
So the best sauce is the one that you like to eat.
Yeah.
And you just got to figure out how to fit it in your diet.
And it doesn't have to be as much as a recipe calls for.
Yes.
You can still get the flavor and the taste by just cutting back a little bit on those harmful and delicious ingredients like the salt. All right, so the pesto calls for a 1/2 cup of basil. So we're gonna use our handheld emulsifier blender. So we're gonna put it in the container that will make it easy to blend. So this is a mixture of basil leaves and spinach leaves, 1/2 cup each. So again, this recipe calls for a cup of Parmesan cheese. This is just a half a cup because I'm wanting to monitor the salt. A quarter cup of pine nuts. So what's the benefit of this pine nuts, Kayla?
Fiber. I'm serious.
And omegas.
Yes,
too.
omegas. But really, for our dialysis patients, often their diets are really low in fiber. And because of our favorite medicine, which are our friendly binders, sometimes that fiber becomes really important.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's a great idea. And the spinach too, all the vegetables.
That's
that
what I'm
do
saying.
that.
This is going to be full of fiber. It's going to be my word of the day, guys.
That's important. You know, a lot of dialysis patients, you know, one of their big complaints is constipation. It's a real thing.
Yep, it is. 2 cloves of garlic, and I chopped that, but it's going to get chopped up even more in our blender. And again, this calls for a teaspoon of salt. This is half. And we have half a cup of olive oil.
There's our omegas.
That's going to be really pretty.
It's
too.
going to be really pretty.
I love color in food. That's like one of my favorite things. And so this is going to just look beautiful.
Let's see what we can do with this blender.
Hey.
And I don't want you guys to be concerned. This can be found at your local Target department store. Easily operated. It's a 2-button appliance.
And the truth is that you don't have to make pesto from scratch. You can buy it at the grocery store. You know, again, you're probably going to end up with more salt. You notice I have half the salt, half the Parmesan, which are the salt producing ingredients in here. So that's the benefit of using one that's made from scratch. Okay, let's go. Okay, that looks
that's
about
pretty.
done.
That is really pretty.
So we have our pesto sauce. So we're just about ready to make our grain-free pizza crust. So here we go. So we need a cup and a half of cassava flour right here. And this really is a wonderful recipe because it's so easy to make. We need a cup of arrowroot flour. And these flours are not hard to find. Now you can get them at your local grocery store and it's not very expensive. These things are so common now because a lot of people have gluten intolerance. So we have that, a teaspoon of garlic powder and a teaspoon of onion powder. And this is powder, so you don't have to reduce this. This is for flavor. Thank you. It calls for 2 teaspoons of salt. And what does Dr. Jameson have in here? 1 teaspoon. There we go. It's kosher salt or sea salt. I'm actually going to mix my wet ingredients together. So let's do the 2 eggs first. 2 eggs go into this recipe. Olive oil. And a cup of water.
And Dr. Jameson, how much will this make?
So this will give me 2 pizza crusts. That's a good question. You can do one and use it up right away, or you can use both of them right away, or you can put one in the fridge. It'll last for a few days until you're ready to do the other one.
I love that.
This is so simple. Once I mix it, I'm going to leave it for about 5 minutes to come together, and then we'll be able to roll it out. So cassava is a root vegetable. And we researched this now. It's very low in potassium. And usually cassava is not necessarily low in potassium, but because how it's prepared is that it's dried and then powdered, it ends up being very low in potassium. So this is a wonderful thing that you can have without, totally guilt-free, totally guilt-free. So that's fully mixed. We can leave that to sit for 5 minutes. And
Yeah,
then we
and I
can roll
love
it
that
out.
you explained to them how cassava powder is made, but you forgot one of the biggest steps. They soak it for days.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So, and you guys know what I'm going to do next. Plug one of our fun facts as dietitians. It's
What's
just like
that?
when you're making any type of root vegetable, we want you to soak them before you cook them.
Yep. Is that called leaching?
It is.
Sure it is.
Oh, and that soaking helps to
Remove the
remove
potassium.
Yeah. I'm gonna slather my hands with the olive oil because this is a little sticky, and I want to make sure that I am not having it stuck to my hands. So I'm taking half of the dough, rolling. You can just put your pizza straight in the oven under the parchment.
That dough was made so quickly.
I know.
I know. I mean, who wouldn't want to make a dough that doesn't take any effort? I'm trying to get it to be about 10 inches. Now, whatever puckering I'm having here is because I didn't allow this to rest long enough. I kind of cheated on the time. So, guys, sometimes instructions are there for us to make sure stuff comes out just right. All right, guys, that's good enough, 10 inches. So we're going to take that, and I'm going to stick that in my oven because it's ready to go. Oh, I forgot to tell you, my oven has been preheating for the last 20 minutes or so, 425 degrees. My pizza stone is inside the oven, so I'm just going to insert this on top of the pizza stone, and then because it's already preheated and it's 425 degrees, it'll take 12 minutes to bake. And then I'll be able to put my toppings on it. So let's do it.
Awesome. Dr. Jameson, what toppings do you have?
Okay, so I'm going to start with my marinara sauce, which has been reduced and which is right here. And we're not going to be using a ton of that, no. Good couple tablespoons will be enough. And dot in some of the pesto, and then I have several vegetables here that we'll talk about.
I love, once again, that we are mixing these sauces. It gives such a unique flavor.
Thank you. Good. And so, just like Sam talked about, the olive oil prevents, can't have too much anyway.
That's been a theme of our pizzas today.
Yeah.
That's right.
The olive oil prevents the sauce from making your pizza dough soggy.
And while you're making that, you made a really good point about the utility of olive oil. It's also how you can save your pesto sauce. Mm-hmm. So if you wound up with extra pesto like we did, you can easily just put it in an airtight container with a layer of olive oil over top of it, and it will stay in the fridge.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You notice I've used probably not even 2 tablespoons.
Yes.
It's very small amount. So that just really helps to keep the potassium down and everything balanced. And so we're just going to drop some pesto sauce all over it so it has a little bit of flavor and color.
That's my thing. It's
Yes, the
gotta be pretty.
green really looks pretty, doesn't it? You can even add a little bit of spinach to, as a topping if you want. I didn't choose spinach today, but I've got one of my favorite vegetables on pizza, eggplant.
I've never had eggplant on pizza before.
I can't say I have either. I'm excited to try that out. What is eggplant beneficial for our people?
Yeah, it's a nightshade, so it's similar to the fruit,
Yeah.
the tomato fruit.
Yes.
Okay, it's got lycopenes, which are beneficial as antioxidants, and helps to as a cancer-fighting vegetable for our bodies.
That's awesome.
Antioxidants are basically our body's, it's added defense.
That's right.
They're little soldiers for us.
Right, that's
so
right.
the best you can equip your body with more soldiers, the luckier you are.
Yeah, I have mushrooms, and I'll tell you that I did sprinkle a little olive oil on the vegetables while they were kind of sitting around, and I don't need to make it too heavy. Mozzarella.
Excellent.
I cut my mozzarella with balls, tiny balls. And there's no right or wrong way to do this.
No, not at all. I think that the purpose of this is to get in the kitchen
Yeah.
Like, it's to get in the kitchen, it's to try, it's to not be afraid or feel like just because you couldn't eat it the way you used to eat it does not mean that it's no longer accessible.
One of my favorite things, you use olive oil, but I like olives, and they have a lot of salt. So that means that I don't have to worry about even adding any extra salt, because the olives are, with each bite, is going to add a little bit of flavor. And finally, a little bit of Parmesan cheese, and that's also salty. So I really think that when we're done with everything, we really shouldn't need any more.
That's really pretty.
It's beautiful. How long does yours need to be cooked for, Dr. Jameson?
Probably maybe 5 minutes, 450, and at the last couple of minutes, maybe just put it on broil so that the top is sizzly and it has that little dark brown color or black color that we like to have our pizza crust corner have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's enough. We don't need any more.
Dr. Jameson, that looks amazing.